Chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear weapons, also known as CBRN, by Matthew Keith. First, we have chemical weapons. There are 4 different types of chemical weapons. There's nerve agents, blood and systematic agents, respiratory agents, and blister agents. First, we have nerve agents. These are absorbed through the body, through the skin and lungs, and have the most severe long-term effects. A couple examples of these are sarin gas and tabin. Animals and people have developed acute symptoms as a result of exposure to nerve agents have been reported to have altered neuromuscular function and impaired psychomotor performance that persist for at least 1 year after severe acute exposure. Next, we have blood and systematic agents. These enter the blood system both directly and indirectly. An example of this would be hydrogen cyanide. Next, we have respiratory agents. These are agents such as chlorine gas and phosgene, and when inhaled can cause damage to our lungs. Exposure to chlorine gas will cause burns inside of someone's lungs and later cause chronic respiratory disease. Next, we have blister agents. These are agents such as mustard gas and leucite and cause damage such as blisters to the skin and other organs. People who were exposed to mustard gas have been shown to have evidence not only of chronic respiratory disease, but also cancer years after exposure. Both respiratory agents and blister agents were commonly used in World War I. Next, we have biological weapons. These are diseases caused by microorganisms and pathogens that can be dispersed throughout an area. They rapidly multiply within a host and can be either airborne or ingested. A couple examples of these are anthrax and E. coli. We most commonly hear about E. coli in our food, but this could also be used as a weapon. Next, we have radiological weapons. Also referred to as dirty bombs, they are an explosive device that disperses radiological material. Exposure from a radiological material will result in radiation poisoning and later both cancer and death. Radon can be found in the ground all over the world. It can be a problem because it will seep in through the ground, through your house's foundation, and expose you without you knowing. Next, we have nuclear weapons. These are weapons designed to release nuclear material as a result of a large nuclear explosion, whether intentional or not. They are usually accompanied by a large amount of light and heat energy, and within a close proximity can be lethal immediately. A large-scale nuclear attack is designed to interrupt critical infrastructure such as transportation, financial, and government services, and it could nearly shut down an entire country. Next, I will be going over the effects of these agents on the human body. First, I will be going over the effects of chemical weapons. In this example, I'm going to be using nerve agents, specifically sarin gas. Our nerves talk to each other by releasing neurotransmitters. The amount of a neurotransmitter released will determine whether a nerve will fire or not. What nerve agents do is they alter those neurotransmitters. After a neurotransmitter has delivered its message, an enzyme will usually come along and demolish it, but nerve agents block those enzymes from doing their job. Since the neurotransmitter does not get broken down, it will continue to tell your body to do a certain thing. If the neurotransmitter is telling your body to sneeze, and this neurotransmitter is not broken down, you will begin to sneeze uncontrollably. We die from nerve agents due to the large amount of neurotransmitters that build up in our bodies and cause our bodies to become uncontrollable. Next, I will be going over the effects of blood agents on the human body. In this example, I will be using hydrogen cyanide. Hydrogen cyanide can be inhaled and then absorbed into the bloodstream. Once absorbed into the bloodstream, it will stop the cell cycle and cause cells to die throughout the body depending on how severe the exposure is. This will cause our internal organs to start to shut down and later cause death. Next, I will be going over respiratory agents. In this example, I will be using chlorine gas. Respiratory agents work off the fact of suffocation. Chlorine gas is more dense than oxygen, and once it enters our lungs, it will displace all the oxygen and stay in our lungs, preventing our body and cells from getting the oxygen it needs and suffocating us to death. Next, I will be going over the effects of biological weapons. In this example, I will be using anthrax. Anthrax itself is not lethal to our bodies. The part that makes anthrax lethal is the toxins it gives off. It gives off lethal and edema toxins, which affect our cells in both negative ways. These cells line the blood and lymph vessels and kill them, and by doing this, it begins to kill the heart and liver because they will not be getting what they need. Next, I will be going over radiological weapons. The first physical effects come after low exposure to radiation, which will cause a drop in a person's white blood cells, which will begin to affect a person's immune system. With medium radiation exposure, nausea, fatigue, and hair loss will begin to set in. With any exposure over 500 rem, any patient will die within 60 days without treatment. Radiation will affect a human's DNA by either breaking a strand or destroying a base. Radiation will also cause DNA mutations such as swaps, insertions, and deletions. Nuclear devices have a very similar health effect as radiological devices. The only difference between radiological and nuclear devices is its delivery system. Nuclear devices cause a nuclear explosion that gives off an immense amount of heat and light energy along with the radiation. This heat and light energy within a certain radius is lethal to anybody in the area. Also, most nuclear explosions release an electromagnetic pulse that can cause a larger death radius and take out the power grid.